All right, so my main man, Dimitri, had a bunch of questions for me today. He had 6 questions. I'm gonna answer all 6 of them here for you guys today. So question number 1 is, what company has some of the best training for sales professionals? And I'm gonna go with a few different ones. You know, one of the industry standards that they have out there is Xerox. Another good one is FedEx as well. Another good one is John Hancock, I believe, and Hub Pages. Now, the reason I say these guys are the tops is because they have a very low turnover rate with their sales professionals compared to a lot of other companies. Some other companies have, it's pretty standard to have a 90% turn and burn rate with a lot of people, or 1 in 8 will end up quitting, you know, within the first year or something like that. So I look at the companies that have the least burn rate, right? And so that's important to really look at. And basically the reason these companies will have the least burn rate is because they'll have good training, which helps give their guys a fighting chance. So that's number 1. Number 2 is, who has the coolest compensation plan and the best compensation plans out there for their sales guys? I'm gonna go with financial advisors. Just in general, in that type of area, they have, you know, they get paid all kinds of fees, left, right, and center, all over the place. They get yearly fees, they get fees for when they actually sell something, they get fees for when people get rid of a stock or a bond or a fund with them. They have maintenance fees. They have tons and tons of fees that are in there that most people actually don't even know they're in there, but over time they all add up, and you can get some really good residual long-term income, which I think is always great, that can last you for as long as you have those accounts. And a lot of the time in the financial industry, people are in it for the long term, years and years and years, so those can be very, very profitable and very good. So I think in the long term, those guys have some of the best compensation plans out there. The insurance industry is the same. You know, they're basically getting money every month on insurance payments or whatever it may be. So I like those. I like the long-term ones. And in the financial industry, again, they're making money no matter what. When markets go up, they go down. People sell, people buy, whatever. They're making money every which way, and they can make a real lot of it if they're good at their job. So that would be what I say is the best compensation plans that way. Let's see, what companies offer the best marketing and sales support? I'm gonna go with Salesforce. I think they've got really good marketing, pretty, not like really good, but it's pretty solid for a pretty big company, and they have very good support for their sales guys, I know, and they do a lot to really help those guys out and go out there and achieve. Their CEO, Mark Bainoff, is a really smart guy who's very driven to get the company to grow, and does a real lot of stuff to help that company, and everybody loves working there. So I'm gonna go with Salesforce on that one. Let's see, best sales standards for when people are hiring. You know, I'm gonna go with pharmaceutical companies on this. Merck, Eli Lilly, Pfizer, all these guys, they're jobs that people die for. You know, I didn't really realize it because I had a few of those companies try to recruit me when I was younger, and then there's people that I ran into years down the road that were trying for years to get those jobs, and they could just never get them, which was surprising to me. But yeah, those jobs are usually very hard to get. There's a lot of competition for them, and yeah, so I would go with the pharmaceutical companies. There's usually a long wait list of people trying to get into those companies because they pay pretty good. They give pretty good compensations. They give you a car, phone, all that good stuff. So it's a pretty good gig for most sales professionals out there. Number 5, sales. Who has the best sales events for their salespeople that they benefit? So he's talking, you know, like big sales or whatever it may be. And, you know, I'm going to go with, man, that's a tough one. But I'm gonna go with like some of the events that I've been to. Okay, so there's a bike event where all the bike dealers come out and they let you ride their bikes. It's called Dealer Camp, and road bikes and mountain bikes and everything else. And I'm a cyclist, so I get to when I've gone to that event, it's great. I get to try on all kinds of different helmets. I get to actually go and ride their bikes for like as long as I want. Take them out, try all different kinds of equipment and everything else. And sometimes these guys have some pretty crazy parties, models and drinks everywhere, and they have some pretty wild parties and let it rip. So Cannondale was a company that was pretty good at that, but man, just all those companies where I could go out and just ride all those bikes, it was pretty awesome for me. And you could really compare things. You could see what was what was best, what rode the best, and everything else. And they're all pretty psyched to have you try. And they're like, you're gonna find out why ours is the best. And guess what? There's only a few guys that were the best out there. So that was pretty cool to ride those bikes. But Cannondale threw some pretty big parties. You know, that's something that goes a long way in throwing really good parties at a big conference or an event. When a specific company does that, it creates a lot of buzz and interest, and it can create a lot of business when you do that the right way. So I'm gonna go. I think Cannondale did a pretty good job with that, with some of their parties and tons of free drinks and lots of models and everything else. So good times. All right. And last is, what company gives the best support for their sales guys so they can earn more and do a good job? And I'm gonna go with, you know, there's a guy, I'm pretty sure he sold airplanes for Cessna, which is a company that builds airplanes, and they have all kinds of airplanes. So they've got, you know, one prop planes to jets, and he used to sell jets mainly. And he basically, so first off, they got the guys in the jet and they flew them, right? Which they kind of sell themselves, right? You know, flying in a private jet is pretty awesome stuff. But he was often selling these jets to CEOs and to companies. And he had such good training that he could go in there and come into the company and say, hey, you're not gonna, I just checked out your financials, you're not gonna buy just one jet today, you're gonna buy 3, and here's why. And the thing is they all wanted the jet, right? They flew in the jet, and once they flew in the jet, they wanted it, right? But the thing was just making the numbers work and everything work. Well, what they did with, and I believe it was Cessna, is they put them through really, really extensive training on the background side of the accounting side and the economic side and the tax write-offs and everything else. So he could get it to the point where they had really unbelievable tax write-offs. They could actually end up paying less taxes overall because of using these planes with the different legalities and everything else that was in place. And so it made it really, really attractive for these guys to get planes on the financial balance sheet and on the accounting side, right? And so once he was able to do that, these guys loved him. You know, they were basically kissing him and hugging him, like, this is unbelievable. And guys would call him a year down the road saying this was like the best decision they ever made, and they would want to get more jets and everything else. And that is pretty cool when you get training that is that killer, that you can come in, look at their financial statement, and say that you're not coming out with 1 jet today, you're coming out with 3 jets. And jets cost a lot, right? They're a few $1 million. So that's pretty awesome. Pretty good training, and you know, you get to fly a guy in a jet. I'm sure they wined and dined him fairly well as well. So that, I think that is one of the best support mechanisms I've seen in sales as well. So hey, this is Kerry Sullivan. Hope this helps, Dimitri, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.